Hi everyone, I'm Farah, and this is our Make a Difference series where we are chatting to people and organizations who are making a huge impact in the menstrual space. Today I have Autumn here from, is it Cycle Literacy Project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it right. Um, yeah, so Autumn, can you introduce yourself for us and just let us know who Autumn is, and then we'll chat about the Cycle Literacy Project after.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Um, I am a certifying fertility awareness educator, meaning that I help people learn how to track their menstrual cycle for natural birth control, for conscious
Nice.
conception, and as really a menstrual health fifth vital sign tool. So that means I'm also a menstrual cycle coach and a functional hormone specialist.
That's so
And I'm
exciting.
yeah. And I'm currently in Rwanda studying, getting a master's in gender and sexual reproductive health with the
Wow.
University of Global Health Equity. Yeah.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice because I'm like tracking my cycle naturally now, but I'm using an app to do it. So I think this was my first step with an app, and then I want to go like fully just myself and my intuition after that.
Yeah, no, it can be such an empowering tool. Once you step into it, you can't really step out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's actually the
congrats on
first time that I feel like I'm enjoying having my period.
yeah. Woohoo! Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
it's
goal.
really nice because I feel like before I was like, oh, my period's on, and I felt so I don't think I just felt so yuck and blah. And now I feel
Yeah.
so vibrant and powerful, and I'm like, my period's here, and I'm like just
Oh my gosh.
accepting my just everything about me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. I mean, that's the entire intention of it is to get you to have a deeper connection to your menstrual cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with this project that you're doing, it's
Yes.
basically, is it like menstrual awareness? If you could tell us more about the project.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really passionate about making sure that this information and the tool that is charting and how empowering it can be is accessible to people of all backgrounds across the world. So the Cycle Literacy Project is really just a space for people to have information that's accessible to them about their fertility, about their menstrual cycle, and about their reproductive health. So what that means is I'm providing information education around cervical mucus, the
Right.
phases of the menstrual cycle, how you can really use the menstrual cycle as a fifth vital sign because it really is that report card to your overall health. And so
Yeah.
what biomarkers help us understand our health, and then once you know, like if something is kind of going astray and awry, like what tools do you have to address those symptoms in your body? And yeah, really just like that, those tools, education and awareness around menstrual cycles and fertility and all that good stuff. Yeah.
I find it a little bit sad that we don't learn this at school. I feel like because it's part of us. So don't you think that we should like have this as something that we learn, like just as like when I speak to people, they're like they don't know anything about their menstrual cycle. They don't know the different phases. They're like it's so confusing, and I'm like, well, it's not really. It's kind of like the seasons and the weather.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And that's one of my biggest missions with Cycle Literacy Project is to make sure that this information is accessible because you're right. It should be just standard education
Yeah.
and standardized even in the medical system. Unfortunately, a lot of even medical physicians, I don't know how it is in South Africa, but in the US, um, they get maybe like a week on menstrual cycle health, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not standardized in the medical system. And so it really leaves people really unsupported, not just in terms of their menstrual health, but also in terms of birth control and making
Yeah.
informed, consented decisions around birth control. So, yeah.
Exactly. So what made you go into this field?
I think just this, like, this exact thing about, like, this is crazy information that I really started on this journey myself, right? Like learning about all the phases of my cycle, coming from being on the pill and IUD for like 7 years, right? I felt
Wow.
so disconnected
Yeah.
from my body, and I started. I was working in India actually doing menstrual cycle education in rural and urban schools, and through that
Got
process I felt
goosebumps.
like I actually, yeah, like I was realizing that India taught me more than I taught India, because I was like, I realized how disconnected I was from my own menstrual cycle, and
Yeah.
it just was this awakening that like I need to reconnect with my body. And through that process I discovered all these super empowering tools and, information that I just knew needed to be shared and mainstreamed.
Wow. And don't you feel like when you learn these kind of things, you're like, wow, it's so simple. The best things in life are
Yes.
the simplest. But why do we not know all of this?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think, like, unfortunately, our culture also over complicates the female reproductive system and female
Yeah.
sexuality and all these things. So, yeah, a lot of times I feel like I'm just like the myth debunker. Like, this
Yeah.
stuff doesn't have to be hard, it's just new, you know? So,
I
yeah.
don't know how it was in India or Rwanda, but how is it with like talking about periods, reproductive health? Is it still a taboo and like a stigma?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak more to my work in India because that I was there for about a year. I'm not an expert by any means, but
Yeah.
yeah, from what my experience was like teaching in the schools, there's a lot of stigma and a lot of hush hush around, like even saying the word period brings on a lot of shame
Yeah.
for a lot of young girls. And so these menstrual health education workshops, really the goal is to come in there to crack open an open mind into these young girls and teach them that your menstrual cycle isn't this point of shame, it's actually this point of empowerment,
Yeah.
and power for you as an individual. But the state and culture in India is actually not much different than it is in my home country in the US.
Yeah.
And so
That's interesting.
it's such, there's these cultural nuances, but also this just undercurrent of shame and stigma across, yeah, cultures, I think, as well.
I feel like our generation really needs to break that stigma of parents also not speaking to their children about it. Because a lot of us had to learn from our friends. No matter what
Absolutely.
culture you really come from, all of us were like, you don't really have that chat with your parents. And I feel like if you can have that at home in your little safety bubble, then you can also be free to now talk to everyone else about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I've done some workshops in the U.S. with parents and their kids, and having parents be there as like a support, an additional support for their kids going through puberty, understanding their bodies. It's such a valuable tool,
Yeah,
and parents need this education just as much as kids do. Absolutely,
I think everything starts with education.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also, like I always say, like I think the shame comes from, especially here where we are in South Africa, the shame comes from the period poverty. I always say that to everyone because I feel shameful if I don't have period products. So can you imagine you can't embrace that beautiful moment of your month
Absolutely.
if you aren't able to even afford to collect the blood that is coming out of you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and you're highlighting a really important point, which is like um, this notion of menstrual health equity. Like one person's menstrual health experience in the US, even in different parts of the US, is going to be completely different to someone who, embodies a transgender identity, who,
Yeah.
lives in a rural environment versus urban. So yeah, like these nuances, it's such a important thing to add to the conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I find a tough thing here with us is we're still trying to break that the stigma and the taboo with the word period and blood. So it's hard when I'm also trying to be mindful of transgender people, where I say people who menstruate, because some girls here don't understand what that means. I'm still trying to break the period stigma, whereas I'm also trying to like make everyone inclusive. It's something that we're all working on. So yeah, we
Oh,
do refer to the girls here, women and girls, because it's the most natural here in the rural parts.
absolutely.
We can't do everything, so we have to do what we can.
No, absolutely. And this conversation really is complex, but
Yeah.
yeah, as you highlighted, it's like how do I make this information accessible to the people that I am trying to target? And that's going to
Yeah.
look different in different settings. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's just
Yeah.
important not to offend anyone, also to be super inclusive, but also know who your audience is and who you're trying to make the impact on.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
I've got a very random question, but it's just sitting in the top of my mind. Why Rwanda? What took you there?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of Partners in Health. It was founded by this individual named Paul Farmer. He
Okay.
is a medical doctor and a global health pioneer, and
Wow.
in collaboration with, I mean, they've done a ton of different work addressing um, poverty in different countries like Haiti,
Wow.
parts of the US, and in Rwanda. And they've set up a collaborative institution with the locals here in Rwanda called the University of Global Health Equity. Um, and so I'm studying here how to provide healthcare in an equitable manner to settings that are largely marginalized, and specifically menstrual health and reproductive health, and how can we make that accessible and equitable at the same time.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like
fun.
making huge moves.
Yeah,
And
Rwanda's been an amazing experience. Yeah.
yeah, how long have you been there for?
I've been here for 3 months, and I'll be here for another 5 or 6.
Nice. Is it the first time you've been to Africa?
It is, yeah. So I'm so excited to be here. Yeah. I've actually, it's been so interesting. I've read quite a bit in my studies thus far in South Africa and the healthcare system there, and so it's fun to just be speaking with someone
Yeah.
who's there right now. Yeah.
So I grew up in Botswana, which is just about South Africa.
Got it.
But yeah, everyone who grows up in Botswana, like South Africa and Botswana become your home. So yeah,
So
now I'm here in
cool.
South Africa, just trying to make a difference. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if this is part of the video that you're creating, but I would love to hear
Yeah.
more about your work and what you're doing.
Have you read anything about us like on our website or anything? So I know how much
Yeah,
I can say. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit, but I would love to hear more from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically we are trying to impact 10 million girls in the next 10 years. And this is widespread across Africa.
Oh, wow.
And we've created this kit, basically, it's the first in the whole world that has the 3 menstrual cup sizes inside of it.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because I thought to myself, if I'm going to give 1 cup size to a girl, is it really going to help or not? So at least if I can give 3 and the little that little sterilizer pot and a pouch that can carry the whole kit inside, then I'm actually helping someone for the next 10 years.
Wow.
So that's where the kit creation came from. And then also like I was really passionate about is the fact that girls are missing school when they're on their period. So it's not just this period poverty thing, they're actually missing school. And because I came from a privileged background where I was able to go to school and actually get a scholarship, I was thinking to myself, if I was missing those 7 days every month, would I have gotten the scholarships that I got? And there
Sure.
was definite no, because the boys in the class or the other girls who are more privileged to be able to go to school are going to definitely beat you. Then you're never going to have the grades that they are going to have.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
was thinking to myself, this is not fair. They didn't say, yes, pick me, I want to have a period, and also I can't go to school for 7 days.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was like, we got to fix this. It's not only schoolgirls, it's also like ladies who are working class ladies. How are they spend half their money just on transport. How are they going to now buy period products just to get to work?
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah,
No, that,
we saw this gap and we need to fix this. But also I saw one of your videos and I was going through to see who you were. I saw an amazing video of yours where you were like washing your face and you were talking about all these, what was it, like these nasties and toxic things and everything. So I was like,
yeah.
yeah, that was huge for me because that was my personal reason to move to a menstrual cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to bash products, but
For sure.
personally, I didn't like
Yeah.
tampons. They drive me out. I didn't like
Yes.
the chemicals inside of them. I'm super, yeah, I only use natural products. Essential
Oh, absolutely.
oil, shea butter, all of that. That's the only things I use on my skin. So I said, if I use that on my skin and my hair, what more of something that's going up inside? Or like a pad that's rubbing on the most softest skin on my body that takes in all the chemicals. So I said, if we're going to make a difference, I don't want to have that guilt of saying, let me make a difference, but here's some products that I wouldn't use myself.
Absolutely.
because then I wouldn't
Sure.
sleep at night. So I said, I have to find what I'm using is a menstrual cup. I've got to be able to make this accessible to girls. So that's
Absolutely.
why we went with menstrual cups, because I'm like, I'm just in love with my cup.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Have you found any, like, is there any stigma in South Africa specifically around like the insertion of a product
Yes.
inside the vagina? Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to also debunk, because firstly, a lot of girls don't even use tampons. So most people
Exactly.
I've spoken to who've moved to a menstrual cup have come from, it's been pads, tampons, menstrual cup.
Right.
Now I'm here speaking to girls saying who are virgins, saying, hey, you can put this inside of you. And they're like, no, wait, what's going on? Will it break my virginity? So they have all these questions. So I think for us, and that's why we're connected with lots of people who are on the same mission as us, is not just to hand out these kits, but education has to come first.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
education of the girls and also their parents. Because what I found is when I moved to a cup, I was able to chat to my mom, and my mom's like, I don't trust this. What is it? Is it safe? And I have to even convince my mom, and she's so new age, and she's European, so she's from England. And I was like, I had to convince her. So what more of the girls here in Africa?
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's really big for us. We have to first teach them about their menstrual cycle, then we have to teach them about the cup. I also want them to know that what we're giving you is so healthy for your body,
Mm,
because I feel like a lot of freebies in the world are just, they're not
yeah.
really good for us.
Yeah, they don't pay attention to like what toxins are in the pads that you're using. Are they 100% cotton? Like what types of, yeah, like
Yeah,
other excipients are in that product, or yeah, it's not something that is as widely considered when you're talking about solving, yeah, period
yeah,
poverty. So it's a really important point that you bring up, because those chemicals then affect our entire reproductive health and then
everything.
you
Yeah,
are struggling. Yeah.
and I feel like I'm trying to do it in a way where I'm not bashing. I don't want to bash. That's
Hmm.
not our thing. But I need to also bring awareness to these kind of products.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm trying
Absolutely.
to find a balance where I'm not this hate on tampons
Sure,
and
sure.
pads, because there are good ones out there.
Sure.
But the sad thing is, the girls that we are helping can't even afford the normal ones with all the chemicals. So want more of the organic, pure cotton ones?
Got it. Yeah, it's such a complex issue. It's like, how do I balance being tender and compassionate to where, these girls are coming from, and whether they're comfortable or not inserting something, but also like trying to
Yeah,
provide them with the education and the healthy product. So yeah, it's a really complicated, yeah, but I'm, really excited to see that this is the work you're doing.
thank you. And I feel like videos like this and connecting together will also allow the girls to see that, hey, there's someone else out there who can help us. So they can connect with you, and they can
Yeah.
get some advice from you. And they're like, wow, she also understands what we're going through. It's not only Farah who's here with the kid. There are a whole community of people around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Like having that solidarity, having that community, like seeing other people that are talking openly about periods, talking
Yeah,
openly about sexuality and birth control, and that doesn't have to be a taboo, um, is so important. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm happy to be part of it.
thank
Hmm.
you. One thing I do love about my menstrual cup, I must say, is that it's weird, I can like check my health based on the blood, like the color and everything that comes out. I'm sure Liv, you're a master at that. But yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things. I feel even more connected with my cup because of that.
Yes, 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 and also I love that. I love that you're bringing that up, because yeah, like the color of your blood does signify things about that are happening in terms of your hormone production, in terms of your uterine lining building up, and all of those good things. Um, and what was the other thing I was going to say? Furthermore, like we kind of internalize this belief that menstrual blood is kind of this waste product, that it's
Yeah,
dirty, it's bad, it's and I want to recognize, yeah, blood is, we have to be careful. It's a biohazard and all those things, but there's nothing gross about connecting and, loving on your menstrual blood, right? Like
yeah.
there's nothing waste, like toxic about it. There's amazing stem cells, like it's full of
Wow.
nutrients. It's full, it's jam packed. And so when we can recognize that and actually connect with it, visually, and even like, physically with our hands, like there's this layer of letting go of those internalized negative, shameful
Yeah.
beliefs that we've inherited.
What we've all been taught from generations on, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. There's so much I want to learn from you, and I feel like we need to connect again.
I would love that.
Yeah, we just gotta have this an ongoing thing, like teach Farah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Is there
Awesome.
anything that you'd like us to know about what your work you're doing, or anything you'd love to just share with us, or anything that you want the world to know about you and your project?
Sure. I mean, I think like one of the hills that I will die on is the one that says like if your method of birth control is not working for you, if you are experiencing pain with your menstrual cycle, if you are experiencing debilitating cramps, cystic acne, being on the pill or the IUD, like you do not have to settle for anything less than a pain-free, empowered, lovely menstrual cycle or lovely experience with your form of contraception.
Yeah.
There are numerous resources, numerous tools, numerous methods of birth control and healing your menstrual cycle that are available to you, and you don't have to live in discomfort. That's like my big
Wow. I love that.
message.
How would a girl, so like right now, my natural birth control I'm using, I put a thermometer in my mouth every morning. How would a girl who like is dealing with period poverty, who can't even afford sanitary products, track their cycle naturally? Like, what would be your first advice for
Yeah. Do you mean like for contraception or just to like
that?
connect with your
Yeah,
menstrual cycle?
because I feel like a lot of girls actually just go onto the pill for contraception. It's
Yes.
either for
Yes.
skin or contraception, and I feel like I want girls to feel empowered that hey, because a lot of people here, if they're in a period poverty state, they're not going to be able to look after a child. So that's one
Absolutely.
thing they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot get pregnant. So for contraception, what's like your most like what would you put someone on first?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at first, I think for me, informed consent is like the most important thing. So, like, educating people on what options they do have for contraception. Um, and I don't know, depending on the medical system and medical insurance, certain things might be more accessible and less accessible, unfortunately. But I
Yeah,
think people having a general understanding of how this affects my body. What does a pill do to my reproductive health? What are the possible side effects? Because so often what I see is, yeah, people living in rural settings or who are living very financially constrained. They are not, I mean, not even just financially constrained. A lot of people aren't even educated on the
yeah.
possible side effects of birth control
I
and the
wasn't
mechanism
educated.
of action. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
neither was I. I was not educated. And so that poses a problem because then people suffer with symptoms and suffer with health issues from birth control that should not be suffering
yeah,
with, that are actually indicative of, larger underlying health conditions that really do need to be addressed. So one, like informed consent, how do we make sure that people know how they're using birth control
yeah,
safely, and how can we make sure that they're advocates for their own health. And then the other piece is like if people want to learn how to track their cycle for natural birth control, um, I think that there's a movement starting to happen
mm,
where this is
there we
starting
go.
to be sort of fertility awareness educators are stepping out more into like the community setting and teaching people in group settings. So I think that that is possible. I think it's the fertility awareness thing is still new, and I think it really needs to be more accessible. So for me, I teach online courses. I have a self-paced online course that people can run through
Nice.
that I provide at like a sliding scale rate, so that finances aren't like a concern.
Oh
So I
wow,
think
that's lovely.
yeah, so there's many resources, and I'm happy to point people to the right resources that they need. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if you can bust this myth for us, but I recently learned after all these years that when you're on the pill, you don't actually have a period.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
insane.
Yeah, so I mean, what the pill does is it essentially puts your body into like a menopausal state. It essentially
Wow.
suppresses all reproductive function, shuts down all of that communication that's happening between your brain and your ovaries. And so you're not producing natural estrogen anymore. You're not producing natural progesterone anymore. Your body is filled with the synthetic ones that are really acting to suppress ovulation. completely. So that withdrawal bleed that you experience is actually just this, yeah, fake menstruation. Your uterine
Wow.
lining builds up a little bit with the synthetic estrogen, and then that withdrawal bleed is essentially sugar pills. So when you take those sugar pills, you're withdrawing estrogen, and so that withdrawal of estrogen
Oh,
causes the breakdown of the uterine lining just a hair. So it's
wow.
not a real menstruation. True menstruation is the result of ovulation.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now
Yeah.
thinking of it. If you just tell anyone who doesn't even have like a background in the medical world that you're actually stopping your menstrual cycle and you're going into like this menopausal state, you just think of everything that people who go through menopause have to deal with. And I'm thinking, is that what I'm like doing to my body? Am I bringing forward my aging and I'm bringing forward all the, like, how does my body even work properly?
Yeah, I mean,
Must
you're
be
asking the right
confused.
questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of people think like, oh, I don't need ovulation, right? If I don't want to get pregnant, I don't need ovulation.
Yeah.
And the other hill I'll die on is the one that says ovulation is critical to your overall health. Estrogen and progesterone are critical to brain function, to mitigating anxiety, for your bone density and structure, for your heart health, for your skin health, for your gut
Wow.
health. Like it's intimately connected to every system in your body. So you can't just say, "Oh, I'll shut down your menstrual cycle and it won't affect any other part of your
Yeah.
body."
Everything else
Everything
will
is
work perfectly. Yeah.
no. Yeah, it won't. It won't. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. That is really that's really powerful actually.
Yeah, and I don't say this to like say, oh, the pill, demonize the pill, never get on the pill. It's just like we have to know how to use this in an informed way, in a way that we
Yeah.
know what we're signing up for. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like saying to someone, oh, you can't have that candy bar or that fizzy drink or whatever. But yes, you can have it, but also know that there are consequences and side effects to it and how you can
exactly.
balance that out.
Absolutely.
I know there are
Absolutely.
some girls who just won't go off the pill. So it's also nice for them to know that, look, these are the consequences and these are the things you can take and to help you get your body back to as normal as it can be on the pill.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, knowing how to heal and support your body coming off the pill as well is a massive thing because the pill um, reduces your micronutrient balances. So magnesium, selenium, zinc, it can
Yeah,
strip those vitamins from your body. And so you have to know how to support yourself in coming off of the pill as well. Yeah,
exactly. And I always say you can get nutrients, like a lot of the people who don't have access to actual supplements can get nutrients through food.
absolutely. Absolutely. Food
Life.
is like the holy grail. Yeah.
Food is our
Yeah.
gold bar.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Like I say, the best things are the simplest of things.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if we can get people the right food, clean water, right? Like a safe space to, sleep at night, a safe environment, like that will set you up for a healthy body and a healthy
And
menstrual cycle.
community. Community is so important.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
We thrive on that as humans.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yes. Yes.
I'd love to chat to you more, but our session is up. And yeah, I want us to connect again. I'm really excited for what we can do together in the future. And
Likewise.
I want to learn
Yes.
more from you. I'm like a little sponge right now.
And that's what, yeah, it is. You just want to soak up everything because it's so empowering and exciting. So, yeah, I'm happy to speak anytime.
Thank you. And the way you explain things is just so, again, I use the word simple. It's
Yeah.
like the words you're using are not complicated. You're just like, yeah, I love it. It's very easy to
I'm
understand.
glad. I'm glad that that's good feedback for me. Thank you.
Thank you for like taking your time out today with me.
My
And
pleasure.
yeah, let's create this movement together.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Fora.
Thank you. Have a good one.
See you.
Bye.